Good morning and welcome to Sunrise Daily this beautiful morning. Today is the 17th day in the month of March 2025. I'm Aya Makinde. Welcome to the show.
Good morning and welcome. It's your daily dose of sunshine, like Mark likes to call it. Welcome to the show. I'm Kayla Megwa. It is humid, 67%. Are here in the nation's capital, and then the temperature is 27 degrees. And of course, we're looking at visibility of 18 kilometers, but we've been seeing that for the past few months. But generally, it's hot. Okay, so get ready for a sweaty time in the nation's capital today. So, wear heat-friendly clothing. Try not to get yourself in a situation where you're uncomfortable throughout the day. Well, we're kicking off the show this morning with a skyline from Lagos. Ayo, where are you taking us?
Well, I'm definitely taking you to one part of Lagos that is either 29 degrees, that is feeling like 38 degrees, plus or minus. This area of Lagos is called Oworo-Shoki. And now many people know it as Iyana-Oworo. Now, what is Iyana-Oworo? Iyana-Oworo simply means a turning into Oworo, and Oworo is a town that you're seeing further down right there. But it is also from under your screen, you can see that we are going into the Badagry, beg your pardon, the Oshodi, Apapa Oshodi expressway right there. This is an extremely lovely sight. I'm not very sure, Markwe, if you can see what I'm seeing right now from that part of Nigeria where you are this moment, Markwe.
Indeed, good morning to our viewers all the way from Awka in Anambra State. It is a lovely 28 degrees here in the city of Awka. And we're here in, covering the celebrations of Governor Charles Soludo, who is marking his 3rd year anniversary. Ayo, you were talking about whether I could see. I couldn't see, but at least I could hear the descriptions. And knowing Lagos very well, I have a very fair idea of where it is that you're speaking about. Well, Kayla, if it's any news, you might want to come to the southeast sometime, maybe around this season. The weather is quite pleasant and temperate around about now. As I did say, 28 degrees. We have lovely cloud cover indicating that the rains might be here anytime soon. But I did say that we're here covering the celebratory activities of Governor Charles Soludo, who's marking his 3rd year in office. Yesterday, it started with the Mass at the St. Patrick's Cathedral, the St. Patrick's Catholic Cathedral here in Awka. Today, it continues with a media parley much later this evening. It's slated for 7 p.m. And throughout the rest of the week, you're going to be having commissionings of different projects which the governor has embarked upon in his 3 years in office, and perhaps a very clear outline of what he intends to do for the next 1 year. And clearly, I know he's going to be running for re-election. So what exactly he's going to be selling to the people of Anambra, as they like to say, Ndi Anambra. But this morning, I have joining me the Commissioner for Health, Dr. Afam Obidike, who will be telling us precisely what it is that what exactly it is that they have for the people, especially in the area of health. Dr. Obidike, thank you so much for joining us this morning. It's a real pleasure to see you. I know you're still reeling from the joys of last year when Anambra won $1.2 million in the Primary Healthcare Leadership Challenge. So tell us, for you to have won that amount of money, I'm sure that you certainly were doing some things right. So precisely what exactly did Anambra do above the rest of the states in Nigeria to be able to, emerge as national leader and also as a zonal leader?
Yeah, thank you so much. I want to thank you. Thank the Governor, Dr. Thomas Soludo, CFR. The leadership, as the name sounds, leadership challenge in primary healthcare. What we did differently, because I know everybody is struggling to win their work, but we did our best. I know when we came on board, we did some sort of media analysis and gap analysis. And when we did that, we found there's a huge gap analysis in our primary health and secondary facility, even in tertiary institutions. But more importantly is this, in the area of human resources for health. When we came on board, 50% of our primary health care trees in the 226 wards will not have midwives that can take delivery. That's very appalling, very bad. And one governor, even our 17 of our general hospitals, without a single medical doctor. That's the truth. So what we first, the governor said, no, we need to actually pay this guy. So we distributed almost 1,000 healthcare workers in those areas. And in the area of the primary healthcare, the governor said we want to ensure we have a functional primary healthcare per ward. Anambra State have 326 wards. So what we did, we started infrastructural upgrade in the 326 primary healthcare in Anambra State in terms of the solar system, putting 5 kVA solar system in all the 326. We upgrade it in terms of the infrastructure and pipe water and the basic medical equipment there. That actually improve the confidence people have in our healthcare system. And also, more importantly, is that the issue of medication is being available in those areas. We established what we call drug reporting form. That actually made it possible that when people go to the primary health care, you will see drugs available to treat people. And the major thing that we also do that happen is this: we have in terms of infrastructure, governor started putting on board in terms of the secondary care area. We started constructing 5 new general hospitals. Somebody was telling me yesterday that he still not believe that Onitsha South, I don't know if you are conversant with on Anambra State, Onitsha South is one of the oldest and very well-known area without a general hospital. And we just built what we call a specialist hospital, Oboko. I'm sure you will join us tomorrow, where we'll be commissioning the Oboko General Hospital. Oboko, we know this very slump area. We have constructed a brand new general hospital. And in the other location, Anako, Anambra local government, we have another one in Anambra East and also another one in Olomete. And the more important thing, these are located in Anambra North, Senatorial District. Our governor is from Anambra South, from Central. So
is that why he's looking to, market the solution?
Yeah.
He wants the people of the North to feel his presence?
Actually, what governor is actually doing to say is somebody that actually do something because there is for the needs. That is the truth of the matter. In those 5 local, we have 21 local governments in Anambra State. Those 5 new general hospitals are building in Anambra North, where they don't have a secondary care facility. And if you don't have a secondary care facility, you won't have a confidence given to the primary healthcare people functioning, because we are strengthening what we call referral system there. And the more important thing is that we started one of the things that made it possible for us winning the award, that is $1.2 million US, is telemedicine.
What I really want to know is, what do you want to do with that money, the money which you want? $1.2 million is a lot of money.
Yeah, $1.2 million US. Anyway, in Anambra State, we actually do more with less. That's the slogan in the state. I'm sure we will still use it to strengthen the primary healthcare system. That's all, in terms of all the pillars in the healthcare.
So you haven't done anything with it just yet?
We are having a plan on it, because you have to have a plan on how to utilize it and submit for the governor, and also because the award was given by 5 international communities, by partners. We have Bill and Melinda Gates, we have UNICEF, we have Aliko Dangote Group, and the World Health Organization. So you need to bring out your plan, and the plan must align with strengthening the primary healthcare activities. And all these 4 partners must agree that this is actually speaking to the need for that, because that's the essence of that.
So there is a lot to look forward to in the area of health, at least in the next 1 year.
There's massive things to look at. But as I'm talking to you now, Anambra State, we are building almost completed trauma center. The first time, in fact, this trauma center, when we came on board, but for the past 8 years, it has been in the budget, construction of standalone trauma centers. That is past 10 years. But when we came on board, we started it just last year, and it's completed. You can enter teaching hospital. You see what's happening there. We are remodeling the whole institution. in terms of environment and the equipment we are putting there. So the trauma center is one of the best we're going to have around here. And then we're also looking forward to have the first smart nursing school we're going to have in the Southeast. And also our cancer oncology, comprehensive cancer and the oncology center is coming.
So a lot to look forward to in the area of health. But if there's anything Anambra is remarkable for, is the fact that it has a lot of its sons and daughters, remarkable people, outside of the state, in the Nigerian diaspora and also outside of the Nigerian diaspora. How do you intend to harness, the talents that these people have and, might have accrued over time, for the benefit of Anambra?
Yeah, thank you so much. This is actually a good question. When you said, I talked about telemedicine. That's what we have developed. Look at it now. Everywhere you are in the primary healthcare, as long as you live in a ward, you have access to a doctor. How do we do that? When a patient goes to the primary healthcare, he can call to call a doctor. So the secondary aspect we are developing now, some of our people outside the country, they are bringing in the days they will be free so that consultation in the secondary facility, they can link up to consult in the secondary or tertiary institution. So that's one we're actually doing. The other way is this, our comprehensive cancer and oncology center, comprehensive cancer and the diagnosis center we are building. Most of them, because they can only come when they have the right equipment, the right environment to work. So that's what we are trying to do now. We are trying to put in those infrastructure that will allow them to come in. So that's one of the areas we are working on. I'm sure very soon it will actually materialize. I didn't mention the area that is also very dear to the people of the state. That is the area of our free delivery that we started like a year and 2 years ago. But that has actually, we have had 102,643 women benefited from that. In fact, if you work in primary and secondary care facilities, you see people, including cesarean sessions. We have 344 women have benefited from cesarean. People come from Lagos and all that to come and have a free cesarean session here because you don't pay anything. In the antenatal, women know when you go for antenatal, you have some investigation drugs and all that. We will give it to you free. When you are delivering, you just come and deliver, you go home, and when it's for cesarean session, you go and have cesarean session. More important is that most of those hospitals don't have those facilities to offer cesarean sessions. And imagine that when a woman is laboring in primary healthcare or even in the secondary facility and does not know or have that confidence that cesarean session could be possible for that to happen, it makes the woman to lose the confidence in the entire healthcare system. So we have actually established and developed this, and most of those women that benefit from those services, almost 49% of them are not Anambrarians. They come from outside this neighboring state and some from the north. And we actually do that because our mantra is that we give services to anybody, everywhere, as long as you live in the state.
Well, you've heard the commissioner there, that's Mr. Afam Obidike, telling you about, what has happened in the area of health and how, their indices around health has improved. As I did highlight, and he has also buttressed that, Anambra won the primary healthcare leadership challenge, which happened last year. $1.2 million was what accrued to them. So it was one of the areas which has been highlighted. Over the course of the week, there will be many other areas that you're going to be seeing where the governor is going to be showing work. I mean, he likes to say the Soludo solution is here. As you can see all of them doing that cap. So keep your eyes on Anambra for the rest of the week. Hopefully, we're going to be sending you some aerial shots of what Anambra now currently looks like. But it's now back to you, Kayla and Ayo.
That's a very, very important element, Malpe. That skyline, I'm waiting for it. Well, it's good to know that at least there is such wonder happening in Anambra State, particularly given all that is going on right there. Well, Kela, we'll take a short break now because from Anambra we'll be going to Rivers State, and that's after this break. To stay with us.
I'm not going to stop Assembly from performing their constitutional duty. Assembly should be allowed to perform their constitutional people who love peace don't threaten people. The more you threaten, the more you worsen the situation. Assembly people must do their work. Whatever they deem necessary and fitting, that is constitutional, they should do. I'm not going to stop anybody from carrying out his or her powers. I'm not doing that. Secretary to government, here his brother George, Justice Dalaguru, to give ex parte order that the government can present budget to 3-4 people. Justice Dalaguru, Secretary Dalaguru, the judge who gave the order, Dalaguru. Now look at how people can destroy a state. That's the genesis of all this crisis. How a judge will sit down under ex parte order that people have defected, that you can present budget to 3-4 people. And still, he has the conscience to remain.
We all know when it comes to formal correspondence in formal matters, yes, governor writes directly to the assembly. And of course, that is what he did when he was coming for the formal correspondence in respect of going to present budget. Yes, but when it comes to informal discussions, I have always done it. I did it even in the previous government. I have done it now, but well, this is not a usual or normal circumstance. That's why it is becoming a topic for discussion. But I'm aware that the governor, he has done everything he should do to present the budget.
Interesting developments in River State, and that's where we're going right now. I mentioned earlier from Anambra, we are going straight to River State to discuss the updates of what's happening in the state, the crisis that's befallen the state over the past few months. Let's have conversations this morning with Ambassador Subomabo Jackrich, who is a former governorship candidate on the platform of the National Rescue Movement, and he's also state leader of the party. He's a former director, special duties under the PDP gubernatorial election campaign in 2015, among several others. Thank you so much for joining us this morning, Ambassador.
Thank you, brother. Good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you for having me.
Definitely, the development in River State is disturbing for as many people as have been following. Is there anything we need to know that, Nigerians are wondering, hey, this has gone on for way too long? The recent development, the governor wanting to make a presentation, the ambassador saying, the House of Assembly saying that they didn't come through the right route, and the former governor of the state, immediate past governor of the state, making the comments he's been making in recent time. What do you make of this whole melee?
Thank you for having me once again. What's is happening in River State is just a mirage. Some persons acting their scripts, the script that is written to them by one Adolphus Hitler of Rumupricum, directing them to do the otherwise. For example, the Supreme Court has given its ruling, whether in favor or against. The governor, even before the CTC recipient, he directed and said he's going to adhere all the directives of the Supreme Court. And as such, even directed the local government to dissolve immediately and hand over to the LGAs. Now, this is to prove that the governor is very, very obedient. I want to take you back to the other time when there was an intervention by president. The president did this intervention, he released money for the 27 lawmakers and did all he could just to make sure that they work together. But he said one thing, when this Adolfo City of Rumi Precom is still directing them, wanting a particular thing, there is something he's eyeing that he wanted to have. And he would tell them not to do in such that the states would come back to begin to function. What they want to do is to frustrate governance in the state, make the governor not to access funds to carry out this forthcoming election, the local government election. This is just the antics. It's not as if there is crisis. The governor, in his ways, have written to them. He has also called them directly. They are all partners. He has called them to say, look, who wanted me to submit this appropriation bill, even direct all their correspondents not to receive any letters from the governor or any other place, just to frustrate it. So the governor cannot have something to show that this is what he did. He went ahead of sending these messages via WhatsApp, just the public that he is trying his best to carry out this action. The other time they said something. They came out on air and said the governor wanted to go to Ogoni and then he stopped by. What I'm telling you is that the governor went to that place at about 10, 11, your correspondents are there. He went to Ogoni, he left Ogoni by 2 p.m. That is when he left government house for Ogoni. So look at the time frames. But all they are doing is to make the governor not succeed, believing that they can impeach him. But it is not possible because the people of the state have seen the quality of leadership of the governor, and they are all out for him.
Well, Ambassador, one of the things, when you talk about this visit of the governor to the House of Assembly, a number of people would wonder that, maybe that is just the governor, playing scenes for people. Because under normal circumstances, there are people who would, an advanced team who would have gone ahead to say to the governor, okay, the coast is clear, you can come now. Or no, the gate is locked for now, you cannot come, you shouldn't come out now, it's not safe for you. But for the governor to go there himself, there are those who will say, look, even all of that is being unnecessarily dramatic. How would you respond to them?
I am a bit close to the system and privileged. It was an information that filtered. When the governor wrote to them, they saw the letter they did not acknowledge. He wrote to them, even on in social media, every aspect, to make them know that he's coming that day. He sent before he stood up to go, the time he gave them has not come. He got an information that they are packing up, they are closing the gates to make sure he did not come. He rushed down to make sure this bill are presented to them. Remember, the governor was telling them over. Let them discuss. This is a budget. It's not something that one man will do. Them discuss, put heads together, whatever it is, so that it can be represented to the, like I told you, to make sure the governor is frustrated. No governance, everything is, is docile. He cannot even access funds to carry out this, his executive powers like that of the local government election. These are the major targets. If not, there is no crisis anywhere. The governor is ready. He has refused to use his powers. The governor has so much ways to operate, but he has refused because he wanted peace. He said he wants to follow the instructions of the Supreme Court and, of course, the advice of the president. But these people are there because they believe that they have this Adolfo Hitler who has so much power, who can do and do. And that is why they refuse. They are bluntly avoiding the governor just to frustrate it.
Kayla.
From the perspective of someone who used to be, yes, can you hear me?
I can't hear you. Come again.
We want to be able to get your thoughts because we do have to wrap up this session, this particular bit of the conversation. Your thoughts on these threats of violence coming from someone who used to be an ex-militant yourself. These threats of violence, if this impeachment against Governor Simfubara happens, what do you make of that video and the rhetoric that is being passed on about violence if if this impeachment actually happens?
Oh, yeah. I have earlier taken a position on that video that is going viral. Number one, for what I know, that is not our class. The video that is going viral is not, in fact, I am not part of it. The John Nation is not part of it because I know that. The governor is not also one of the people. He cannot even direct people to go about such very derogatory videos. But the truth is that the people have the right to say that they are not pleased with what is happening in Rivers State, especially the job people, considering that somewhere the upland has ruled for over 24 years, and now that the riverine or a job person has come, no matter how he came, they want to deliberately frustrate him and bring Kamewule, who is another uplander, who is their preferred person, to take over. But that is why they are deliberately frustrating everything. Now that they could not bribe the chief judge, they have gone about trying to blackmail him just to make sure that they will also, scare him. But the truth is that the job people are wiser now. The job people have taken over security of the oil installations of the Niger Delta. And as such, they will not come back to begin to destroy those, facilities they have agreed to secure. Remember, like me that is talking, I am working with the Tantita, in partnership with the Tantita,
yes,
to ensure that these things are being secured. And some of these persons also, with the Fositila of Freedom Telecom, are also contractors of the same facilities. So the question is, who are the people who want to come and destroy these things? What they're doing is that because Rivers State, the people, the wicked faction does not have 25% of the support of the people of Rivers State. So the only thing they can do is to manipulate, make it seem as if there are people threatening to vandalize or destroy the pipelines, such that the security agencies will not be with them and begin to carry out some kind of dastardly acts on their perceived political rivals.
Yes.
The truth is that no Ijaw man has come, and you can look the protests across the board. It is a non-violent protest. There is no one that is even carrying up arms. Rather, they are the one using the securities against the people.
Mr. Sobomabo, as we wrap up this conversation, I want to be able to get your thoughts on what peace means, because everyone has been calling for peace, reconciliation. What is peace for both sides, whether the Wike faction or the Fubara faction? What does peace mean in this case, in your view?
Peace is priceless. Peace is the only means for any government that will function. Without peace, there will be no development. Peace is the only watchword. But the truth is, how then can we give peace? Non-violence, said the universe is on the side of justice. There are people who are somewhere who what they want until what they want happens have directed that peace should not come back to state. The governor, the minister was the governor of Rivers State. We know him, you know him. How violent, how heartless he was. It was listen, let me tell you. I'm surprised that today the court is celebrating him. How come? What happened to Rivers? Rivers Court.
Mr. Jack Rich, you know, I do have to caution the things that you say. Mr. Jack Rich, if you're hearing me, I do have to caution a few of the words that you're using to describe another person, because he's not here to defend himself. You know, these words, I'm going to have to get you, I need you to retract a few of the things that you have said, because, you know, there are ways to express it without using those direct words. But I think,
what you have described?
I think in many ways you have gone past what it is that we wanted to find out from you. What I want to get from you really is, what sacrifices do you think that both sides would have to make for peace to reign? Just a logical explanation from you on how you think things can go forward from where we are.
Well, on that note, I feel that the State Assembly should come back. Also, perhaps create an avenue for the governor should create an avenue for him and the State Assembly to meet, to discuss the way forward, so that they too will bring whatever they have on the table, no matter who have directed them, they should place it on the table. The governor will now tell them, okay, this is the executive officer. He still has the powers to decide. You cannot compel him or subject people to him to be his essay, giving him somebody to be his chief security officer, or giving him somebody to be his secretary. It's not possible. But the governor can for the wicked faction. So, to be part governor, I correct these things. I said, what I understand about Supreme judgment is not that it is effective. It is not retroactive. They would have, the judgment would have agreed present.
Okay, I think we're having all right, well, we do have to wrap it up there, Mr. Jack Rich, because the connection has gotten really poor. But I want to thank you for your thoughts on today's program, and good luck with all the work that you have ahead of you, not in negotiations, and good luck to the people of Rivers State. And on that note, we'll go on a short break. When we come back, there are other issues going on in the country, and we have Amnesty International in the studio here with us to break down what their thoughts are and these court cases that they're about to pursue. So please, stay with us. Welcome back to Sunrise Daily. A lot of things happened over the weekend. And Amnesty International stuck out like a sore thumb, you know, speaking up when everyone else was wondering what was going on. And just so they can break down a few of these issues with us, we have in the studio the country director of Amnesty International, Mr. Issa Sanusi. Thank you so much for being with us on the program.
Thank you, Kela. Thank you for having me.
It's been a long time since I saw you.
Yeah, it's a long time.
How are you doing?
Yeah, I'm very good.
All right, so let's talk about one of the things we heard Amnesty International talk about during this weekend, and it has to do with this Corp member.
Yes.
Who went to the store.
Yes.
And was frustrated. I think she had an experience that many of us have had, especially at that time in our lives, you know, when you're suddenly by yourself.
Exactly.
And then the cost of things suddenly become very real to you. And it's been the same story over the years. Although some may say that Corp members today may be having it a little harder, because the stipend cannot in any way, even if they implement the new stipend for them,
cannot be enough.
It wouldn't be able to meet up with the needs. But then again, there's the conversation around the fact that Corp members are supposed to live very demure lifestyles. You're supposed to, you know, cut your coat according to your cloth. You can't live extravagantly, maybe not extravagantly, but the way you're used to. So it's a change, an experience that you've probably never had before. But the issue really was when we started hearing her talk about, you know, the frustrations, and they're using some words while she was describing President Bola Tinubu. Of course, people took issue with that, and of course, we heard that recorded phone call.
Yes. Where
that lady was saying, take that down, take that down. So the conversation around expressing yourself and what rules for the NYSC may have been broken here. That's where Amnesty International comes in. So break that down for us.
Well, as a human rights organization, we always believe that people have the right to express themselves. And freedom of expression is a fundamental human right. So any law, there is no law that can supersede fundamental human rights.
Not even the laws of the NYSC?
There is no any law whatsoever that can deprive you. You can never find yourself in a situation whereby someone will say, well, you are no longer entitled to right to life. You are no longer entitled to the right to freedom of thought, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, freedom of expression. There is nothing. And if you look at, let us now focus on the circumstance of this lady. She was lamenting about what everyone knows is a reality. And what we expected, or what every reasonable person will expect from anybody, is to listen to her and ask her and give her a support. But unfortunately, she was threatened. And this exactly brings back the way Nigerians are treated by the authorities all the time. If you remember last year, some women came out in Mina, Niger State in February. They protested over the high cost of food, high cost of living, and they were arrested. They were humiliated. And 2 weeks later, a group of women as well staged a similar protest in Kano. They were also arrested. So this trend should not be happening in a free society, in a democratic country. I think the people in charge of Nigeria should change their way of looking at things, and they should start to respect the people. They should start to, in fact, I always have the feeling that I don't think they know what people are going through at all.
So an account came up on X, and what he did was he said, look, we understand that you are frustrated, a lot of Nigerians are, but you did break a few rules here. And they showed that soft copy of the rules of the NYSC. And it's a rule book that we've all had. It's still old, though, well, because it's still the old national anthem that is on it. Yeah. But they pointed out the fact there were some things. You're not supposed to speak to the press as a Corp member. You're not supposed to make any policy statements to the press. You're not supposed to criticize people in authority. We don't know if that means people in the NYSC camp or people in government. We're not sure what that means, really. You know, and no partisan activities. These are some of the things that are written inside the NYSC rules. I know that Amnesty International basically looks out for the rights of the person, the right to expression. However, the argument that you should have understood what the rules of the organization that you are in states, and contravening those rules will come with consequences. You know, could you help us to balance that out?
Well, if you look at those rules, we have all done NYSC.
Yeah.
And we all know that if you sign off as a staff of Channels Television, you have code of conduct as well. But there is nothing whatsoever that can deprive you of your right as a human being.
So is it that the rules of the NYSC, in your view, are those rules wrong? Because, the rules of the NYSC, based on what you're saying, they contravene what the Constitution says about the right to express yourself.
And whatever contravenes the Constitution is null and void. We have to dismiss it. And here we are talking about the situation of people, reality. And when you are talking about reality, I don't think it makes any sense whatsoever to be talking about those rules. Because we are talking about people suffering. We are talking about hunger. We are talking about dealing with escalating inflation every day. So when this lady came out and did that video, the right thing should have been to call her, listen to her, give her the right support. This kind of thing can push somebody to harm himself as well, because she is like at the dead end, at a standstill. She had been stretched to the last point. And I don't think that threatening her or bringing whatever bylaw or whatever. Bylaw is different, life is different. We are talking about reality. And I believe that all those laws of NYSC should never matter where human life is at stake. Because no one knows exactly. You know, that lady was brave enough to even come on social media and express herself. And she should be even, I think she should be commended for doing that. And the next reasonable thing is to listen to her, give her the right kind of support. But threatening her will aggravate her situation. And it is already inciting Nigerian youths and making them to question the contract between them and their leaders.
Government.
Yes.
Because you see, that's the conversation. You know, the outrage of it is one thing, but actions going forward will be what will ensure change in our country. Now, if the rules of Channels TV, because there's a code of conduct here, if the code of conduct of Channels TV contravenes the Constitution, what kind of conversation can we have about that? Should we now focus on changing the rules, like in this case, the NYSC, changing some of those rules? Like I said, they're old. I saw that at the top of the soft copy is still the old national anthem that's there. You know, should the conversation now move towards looking at these rules governing Corp members and changing them and making them more humane and more in tune with the rights in the Constitution?
Exactly.
And how can we get that done?
Exactly. I believe that, you know, these bylaws have to be reviewed, and the whole NYSC had to be overhauled. When I was doing NYSC myself, I experienced this kind of abuse myself. And I know that, you know, these days you even see Corp as being treated as if they are not human beings. And this should not happen. And that is why our society is very violent, because people are treated roughly. And when they come out into the society, the only thing they understand is haggling, violence, you know, shouting at each other without any element of kindness. And we have to change things, because these young people just graduated from university. The next important thing they are supposed to receive is kindness.
The element of kindness. That is such an important thing to say.
Exactly.
The element of kindness in everything that
Exactly. And you know what we are going through. Like recently, I was having a conversation with two recent graduates who are doing their NYSC. And I was asking them, what are you planning to do? And they were telling me that they are doing their NYSC. They are hoping for maybe to get a job, but they are also doing other things. They are acquiring skills. They are doing what we call hustling in Nigeria. So I believe that Nigerian youth should be respected. I think the way this lady was treated shows the kind of disdain with which Nigerian youths are being treated. And I think enough is enough, and the authorities have to stop this kind of behavior.
Speaking of the civic space, many people have stayed talking about the shrinking of Nigeria's civic space. And I'm going to ask you this question before I bring in Ayo, my colleague from Lagos. This letter that was sent by the National Assembly, we saw, it was CISLAC that actually released the one that we saw. And it had to do with, you know, the NGOs in Nigeria and regulation of NGOs. They gave them a list of things that they needed them to submit, among them being every money that you have received since 2015.
Yes.
And what the money was used for. What is your modus operandi? Who are your board members? And things like that. Do you find this some kind of way of muscling the civic space? Or is this just the accountability that, you know, we've been asking for, considering the story that we heard about USAID?
Well, we have been monitoring the civic space for so long. And one thing that our politicians are forgetting all the time is the fact that, you know, democracy and their existence as politicians would never have happened without the civic space. The civic space created the situation or the environment in which democracy thrives, and that is why we have the National Assembly, we have elections, we have politicians. So what is happening is that there have been many attempts to gag the non-governmental organizations. No one is saying that they should not be held to account. And I believe that in Nigeria right now, one of the most difficult things to do is to run an NGO, because you will be submitting this document to this agency, this document to this agency. Now, most of these documents, the House of Representatives has been asking this organization to submit. They are things that every organization submits to the CAC every year in the name of annual filing. And that annual filing says what your financial statement is. It also says, it also provides CAC with your auditor's report, directors, trustees, your net assets, a lot of things. You have to do that every year, and there is a deadline, there is a penalty. So I think, you know, we are in a situation whereby, you know, NGOs are people in power are trying to make NGOs the fall guys. They are trying by hook or crook to make sure that they gag the civic space, because they tend to think that the civil society is a threat to them, while they don't know that. So
should they go and get those documents from CAC and not from
you? Definitely. And you remember that in 2020 we had CAMA, Companies and Allied Matters Act, which transformed the management and the scrutiny every NGO goes through. And that CAMA was aimed at scrutinizing and preventing every NGO from doing anything that is unlawful. And that law is in place.
It's still in place. All right, I'm going to bring in Ayo so he can ask you a few questions. Go ahead, Ayo.
Thank you, Kayla. You know, I'm looking at a document here now from the Nigerian Journal of Social Studies. April 2021, analyzing Nigerian national value and what they are and who are their custodians. And I find that, you know, among these values, quite a number of things, actually. Quite a number of things are listed on that list, part of which, of course, includes patriotism, truthfulness, you know, respect for elders, and all those things. The first question that comes to me, looking at the previous conversation with Kayla, is whether or not you think we are significantly or adequately preparing our youths for the future that is certain. There's a song making the rounds now. It's a very old song by Dr. Victor Olaiya, a high-life musician in southwest Nigeria. You may know him as well. Singing about the tough times as far back as the 60s and saying that it's so tough out there. There's no money anywhere. Men are shouting, women are shouting, everyone is shouting there is no money, as far back as in the 60s. But hey, the man is perhaps even a nonagenarian now, and he's still very much alive and well. Old, yes, but... So question that I'm asking is, do you think, knowing that the life is going to play a card on the young, do you think we are significantly, adequately preparing them for the certainties, the realities that this young lady spoke about in the video?
Well, thank you, Ayo. I believe that we are not doing the right thing and we are not on the right track when it comes to young people. Our population currently consists of largely of younger people, and our demography is largely young. So what is happening is that whenever you have a conversation with young people, all you hear about is hopelessness. They are losing hope. Those who can are leaving the country in droves, and those who could not are struggling to survive every day. And I believe that one of the important things that we should be paying attention to is the condition and the state of mind of our younger generation.
And we are not doing that. Just 1 second. My apologies.
Yes.
We're coming there, but yeah. I'm talking about the various levels of preparation. They went through primary school, went through secondary school, and guess what? They heard the lamentations of their teachers about how the nation is. They listen to the lamentations of their own parents and how the country is and all. And then they go to the NYSC and perhaps also hear lamentations. Meanwhile, part of the preparation that they should go through in the NYSC is entrepreneurial development. I'm not sure how significantly you think that is also preparing them for the future that is certain. Life hasn't gotten easier since the 80s. Things have gotten incrementally more expensive by the day. So it's that preparation from the social levels, from the family levels, from the cultural levels that I'm talking about before we can get to the national level.
Well, I believe that we have to manage the expectation of the young people. But I don't think we can manage their expectation, because there is no way we can prepare them for the future without managing their expectations. But one thing I believe, or I think is the right thing to do, is to make sure that those who are running the country or those who are in charge of government institutions or non-governmental institutions should live by example. You can't be telling somebody that, there are no jobs in the country, and then all of a sudden you hear institutions of government employing people through the back door. You can't be telling people that there is no money in the country, and they see SUVs splashing through the streets every now and then, bought with public funds. Therefore, the issue is there is a huge disconnection, because the Gen Z generation are different. Their way of looking at things is different, while the older generation is looking at things also in a different way. There is a huge disconnect, and that disconnection is a big problem, and that is why we could not adequately prepare them for the future. We have to bridge that gap first of all. We have to create that communication. The leaders and the people, even elderly people in the society, they have to open up channels of communication with these younger people. We should not be dismissing their concerns, we should not be thinking that they are only fond of luxury. We should not be dismissing their concerns. We should not be dismissing their aspirations. I believe that it has to start from there.
Okay. Well, but when you say that the Gen Z, the Generation Z, is a different, generation, of course, you're absolutely right. You're probably also speaking from experience with your children as well. But then I don't think we can dismiss that difference of theirs as something that that creates the temerity to discountenance values. For instance, you've spoken quite a number of times about the fundamental human rights of everyone, including the Gen Z generation. But then, where do we place fundamental human rights as opposed to respect for institutions, as opposed to patriotism, as opposed to culture and values? At what point do we draw the line or blur the lines?
Well, let me start, Ayo, by saying that respect is earned. Respect is earned. There is no way somebody will sit down and expect to be respected either because of the number of years he spent on earth, or the number of degrees he has, or the number of positions he has in government. I think respect is earned, and I don't think that, anybody will say that the younger generation are without the values of respect. We have to do the things that will make them to respect us. There is no way we can expect respect from them without doing the right thing. Why are we not having electricity? How can I respect you when I know that electricity is not a magic? It can be provided, and you cannot. So why do you expect me to respect you at all? There are no roads, no schools, and people are struggling with healthcare. Why do you expect me to respect you?
I mean, Mr. Sanusi, listening to you talk all morning, I think it comes down to that contract, the social contract between the Nigerian people, young or old, with the government. And it's making me wonder, the fact that one person didn't keep his own side of the contract, does that mean that I shouldn't keep my side as well?
Well, we have to encourage compartmentality. And what I mean by that is that we have to make sure that everyone is doing the right thing. And that is very important. Leaders have their obligations, and we, the citizens, have our own obligations. But a situation whereby you are always hammering on the responsibilities and the duties of the people, while not saying the same thing on the other side, I think that is very unfair, and it will not work.
So in closing, when it comes to these requests made by the National Assembly for NGOs and the situation with our dear Corp member, what do you think should happen in both cases going forward? Well,
going forward for the National Assembly, I will expect them to have a rethink and withdraw that very long demand and unnecessary effort to put civil society organizations under pressure. They should withdraw it, respect themselves, and withdraw it. I believe that civil society and the government have to work together to make our country better. If I have a bad intention, I will not be sitting here, I will not be setting up an NGO, I will go to the bush. Those who do not wish our country well are not living among us. They are in the bush, killing people.
And for our Corp member?
And for our Corp member, I believe that her case should be a lesson for us, the elderly ones, or the leaders and people in charge of institutions of government. You can't threaten somebody in this century, and the world has changed, and we have to recognize that threats and intimidation will not work. The world has completely changed, and things are not going to be the same.
I want to thank you very much, Mr. Issa Sanusi, for being with us on the program. Mr. Issa Sanusi is the country director of Amnesty International. Thanks again.
Thank you, Kelly.
And that is Sunrise Daily this morning. Thank you all so much for tuning in and being a part of our day. Hey, we'll do this again soon. I'm Kayla Megwa. Have a great day ahead.
I have to be honest, there are some very interesting comments on X, Kayla, one from Festus essentially saying that Nigeria is not the worst nation in the world. And Professor Enakena pretty much saying that one person's criticism shouldn't be something to to design everyone else. Have a wonderful rest of your day. I'm Ayo Makinde.